Okay, so in this video we're just going to solve some simple linear equations where we've got two steps, okay? So they're nice ones, we've just got x on one side of the equation and we've just got two steps to get to the answer. Now, with any equation solving, the aim is to get to the point where you have x on one side and all your numbers on the other side, and that's what we're trying to achieve here. So in this question, we've got 3x subtract 5 is equal to 22. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to just have the x term on its own. So that is your aim. Because you've only got one x term, that's fine. So the next thing we need to do is get rid of the number that's on its own. Now in this case we've got a negative 5, so inverse operation, we add 5 to both sides of the equation. Okay, and if we do that, on this side it's like a set of scales, you're balancing both sides of the equation. So on this side, if we add 5, because we've got negative 5, if we add 5 we are left with nothing, so we've just got the 3x. And on this side, if we add 5 to 22, we get 27. The beauty with equations is you can do whatever you like as long as you do the same to both sides of the equation. So now we've got 3x is equal to 27, and the last thing we have to do, 3x means 3 times x. We don't put the times sign in, the convention is it means multiply. So if 3 lots of x is equal to 27, again, inverse operations, we divide both sides by the 3, and by doing that, if we divide this by 3, we just get x, and if we divide this side by 3, well, 27 divided by 3 is just 9, and there's your answer, okay? This one here, we have to do the same thing again. Now, there's a couple of different ways that you can answer these questions. Personally, I like to sort my x's out first, make sure they're all on one side of the equation, and most importantly, I prefer it if my x is positive. Now if it's not a problem. You can either carry on like this, or in this case what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat slightly. I don't like it being negative, so what I can do is if I add the 4x to both sides, well, if I've got negative x and I add 4x, if I've got minus 4 and I plus 4, I get nothing, so I'm just left with 16 over here, and that means magically on this side I've got my 10, but I've got plus 4x, so now I've got positive 4x, which is what I wanted. Now I've got my x's positive, I need to then eliminate and get rid of this 10, so therefore what do I do to both sides? I subtract 10. Again, inverse operation, 10 is positive, so I'm going to take it away from both sides, and I'm left on this side with 6, and over here I've got 4x, okay? Now at this point, if you want, you can switch them around, so 4x is equal to 6, because it's like English, it's like reading a book. You should always read from left to right, so if you're going to read the solution to an equation, you should have x equals an answer, not an answer equals x, that's back to front. So we have 4x is equal to 6. Now some of you might be reaching for your calculator, but that's really not necessary. The next step, same as up here, we're going to divide both sides by 4, so we're just left with 1x. And then when we divide, all we have to do is put a fraction bar. 6 divided by 4, okay? Now, at this point, we want to simplify that as much as possible. So we can either cancel that down as it is. So what goes into both 6 and 4? Well, 2 goes into both 6 and 4. 2 goes into 6 3 times, and 2 goes into 4 twice. So we get 3 over 2. It might be a bit more simpler for you to see what that is now. It's a top-heavy fraction, so we can change it to a mixed number. We've got 1 whole 1, 1 left over, so it's 1 and a half. And that's your answer. Or you can put 1.5 as well, or indeed, a lot of us mathematicians prefer to leave it as a top-heavy fraction. Okay, so the last one, x over 7, which we know means divide, so x divided by 7 plus 6 is equal to 9. So the first thing we're going to do is we want to get our x term on its own, so we're going to subtract the 6 from both sides, okay? So if we do that from here, we're subtracting because we've got a plus 6, it's the inverse operation, so we're going to be left with just the x over 7. 9 take away 6 is 3, and if we have x divided by 7 is equal to 3, okay, a bit similar to this, we had 4x equals 6 or 3x equals 27. We divided to do the inverse operation. This time we've got to divide, so the inverse operation of divide is to multiply. So we're going to multiply by the 7, and if we multiply divide, we just get back to where we started with the x, and so 3 times 7 is 21. Another way of thinking about it, what number when you divide by 7 gives you the answer 3? Well, the answer is 21, and that's how you solve simple equations.